The sun was burning hot. The ground cracked like broken glass. Sharp winds moved dust across the endless desert. There was no sound, only the low cries of birds flying in circles above. They were not ordinary birds, they were desert vultures. And they had found something. There, under a wide rock, lay an alien woman. Her skin was dry and dirty, her clothes torn, her eyes half closed. Her name was Zalari, but no one had called her that in days. She had no strength left. Her body had stopped fighting. She had not eaten in 2 days. Her lips were dry, her fingers shaking. She was sure she would die here. Her family had left her, thrown her away like trash. "We don't want the shame," her father had said. "You bring weakness to our bloodline." "Better to die in the wild," her mother added. "Let the sand take you. You were never strong enough." She had begged them, cried, reached out to them. But they turned away, cold and silent. Now lying under the sun, Zalari waited for death. The vultures got closer. They landed nearby, watching her with dark, hungry eyes. But far away, a human man rode across the desert on a sandbike. His name was Logan, a quiet traveler with a strong build and sharp eyes. He was used to deserts, used to danger. He had fought in wars, fixed machines, and helped lost animals. But he had never expected to find a person out here. A strange whisper reached his ears. It was faint, like the wind carrying a voice. He stopped his bike. Logan stood still and listened. Again, that sound. A soft cry. He scanned the land and saw something under a rock. His eyes narrowed. He drove closer. When he stopped beside the rock, he saw her dot at first. He thought she was dead. But then, her finger moved. Logan jumped off his bike and rushed to her side. He knelt down. Her skin was burning from the sun. Her chest was moving, barely. "Hey," he said, his voice calm but urgent. "Can you hear me?" Her lips moved, but no sound came. "Just air." Logan pulled a small bottle from his pack and opened it. "Drink," he said. He placed the bottle at her lips, and she drank slowly, like someone who hadn't touched water in days. "Good," he nodded. "You're still alive." Zalari blinked. She saw his face. A human. She had never seen one this close. Her people said humans were monsters, violent, greedy, heartless. But this one was gentle. He looked around and saw the vultures getting closer. He stood and shouted at them, waving his arms. "Get lost." He yelled. The birds flew away, but they'd be back. Logan didn't waste time. He lifted Zalari into his arms. She was light, like carrying bones covered in cloth. She didn't fight. She had no strength left. He placed her on the back of his sandbike, tied her safely, and drove fast across the desert. The wind hit his face like knives, but he didn't stop. Half an hour later, they reached a small hidden camp, just a tent, a water tank, and some tools. It was quiet and safe. He brought her inside and laid her on a soft blanket. He gave her more water, then some warm soup. She drank slowly, watching him with wide eyes. "Why?" she finally whispered. Logan looked at her. "Why what? Why are you helping me? I'm not human." Logan gave a small smile. "Because you're alive. That's enough for me." Her eyes filled with tears. She had never heard those words before. Not from her own people. Not from anyone. She looked at his hands, strong, careful. He was cleaning a wound on her arm, gently, no pain, only warmth. "I'm Logan," he said softly. "What's your name?" She was silent for a moment. Then, in a small voice, she said, "Zalari." "Nice to meet you, Zalari." He nodded. "You're safe now." She closed her eyes and let the warmth of the tent and the human's care wrap around her like a soft blanket. For the first time in her life, she felt safe, but outside, the vultures circled again. And something else was watching from the distance. Zalari woke up to the smell of something warm. Something she didn't recognize. For a second, she forgot where she was. No sand, no vultures. Only soft cloth under her, a warm fire nearby, and the low sound of something boiling. She opened her eyes slowly. A tent, small, earth-made, quiet, and a figure. Sitting with his back to her. Human. Fear returned like a wave crashing into her chest. She sat up too fast. Her head spun, and her body fell back again with a soft gasp. The man turned. "You're awake," he said gently. It was the same human from the desert. Logan. Zella single quotes, as breathing grew fast. Her hands pulled the blanket close around her. Her heart screamed, danger, stranger, human. She tried to move away, her back pressing against the tent wall. He didn't come closer. He didn't raise his voice. He simply stirred the soup again. "It's okay," he said. "You're safe here." Safe? Zellari didn't believe in that word. Not anymore. Not after her own mother left her to die under the sun. "Where am I?" Her voice cracked. "Hidden spot in the eastern desert. I use it when I travel. It's far from cities. No one will find us here." She watched him. Every movement, every breath. He didn't tie her down. He didn't touch her again. He just placed a bowl of soup near her on the floor and stepped back. "No meat," he added, "in case your kind doesn't eat it." Zellari stared at the bowl. The smell was soft and clean. She was starving, but her eyes didn't leave him. He noticed. "You think I'm going to hurt you?" He asked. She didn't reply. "I get it," he said. "You don't trust me." "I wouldn't either." There was silence. The fire cracked softly between them. Zellari looked down. Her arms were bandaged. Her legs were wrapped in clean cloth. Someone had cleaned her wounds. Someone had taken care of her. Someone who wasn't supposed to. She was an alien, weak, dirty, thrown away, not worth saving. That's what her people believed, but this human had saved her. "Why?" she finally asked. "Why would a human help me?" Logan leaned back, resting on his elbows. "You were still breathing. That was reason enough. That's not what we're taught." He looked at her. "What are you taught?" Zellari hesitated. Then she said quietly, "That humans only help themselves, that you only protect your own kind, that aliens like me mean nothing to you." Logan raised an eyebrow. "Well, someone taught you wrong." She didn't know what to say to that. He pointed toward her food. "Eat, your body needs it." She picked up the bowl slowly. Her fingers shook. The first sip burned her throat, but it was good, real. Her eyes began to water again. Not from the soup, from confusion. She had expected pain. She had expected anger. She had expected to be used or sold, or worse. But instead, kindness? She didn't know what to do with it. As she ate, Logan looked outside the tent. The wind had slowed, but clouds were gathering in the sky. Storms came fast in the desert. He spoke without looking at her. "You don't have to be afraid of me." She wanted to believe him, but then something made her freeze. Outside, a sound, a click. Then another. Zellari's body tensed. Logan noticed too. He moved toward the opening of the tent quietly and peeked outside. Zellari felt her chest tighten. Had her people found her? Would they come now to finish what they started? Would they kill her? And maybe him too? Logan pulled a small blaster from his pack and held it low. "Stay inside," he said calmly. "I'll check." He stepped out into the wind. Zellari was shaking now. She crawled to the tent flap and looked through a small hole. Outside, Logan moved toward a dark shape in the distance. Sand beast? A machine? A person? Her blood ran cold. Suddenly, Logan turned back and called out, "It's nothing. Just an old probe caught in a wire." He laughed softly and kicked it aside. The tension left his shoulders. Zellari sat back inside the tent. Heart still racing. She realized something then. Something strange. She wasn't afraid of the desert anymore. Not the vultures. Not the storm. She was only afraid of losing this moment. Of losing the one person who treated her like she mattered. As Logan stepped back in and shook dust off his jacket, she looked at him quietly and whispered to herself, maybe humans aren't monsters after all. Rain fell gently on the desert. It was rare, like a secret gift from the sky. Zalari sat just outside the tent, wrapped in a soft old coat that smelled like dust and engine oil. She watched the tiny drops fall on her hands, her alive hands. Each drop felt like a memory. The storm had passed. The wind had calmed. But the storm inside her heart still roared. Logan was fixing something at the back of the sandbike. He didn't ask questions, not yet. He let her sit in silence. He gave her time, but she couldn't keep the truth inside anymore. "My family," she whispered. Logan paused, but didn't turn. He let her speak in her own way. "They gave me to the desert." The words felt like stones leaving her chest. Logan stood slowly and walked over. He sat on a rock near her, waiting, listening, not speaking. Zalari looked up at the darkening sky. Her voice was flat, almost like she was reading someone else's story. "My father is a noble. My mother comes from a strong bloodline. We are supposed to be proud, but I was born small, sickly, not strong like others." She paused. The sound of rain filled the space between them. "They tried to fix me, heal me, change me. I tried too. But I never became what they wanted." A bitter smile touched her lips. "So they called a gathering. Said it was tradition, a walk of strength. I was told to go alone into the desert and return before night. If I came back, I would be accepted. If not, the family name would be clean." She looked at Logan. "I walked out there. And they never followed." Logan's jaw tightened. "They left you to die." Zalari nodded. "I waited. I cried. I called for them. But they were gone. They erased me before I was even dead." Her voice shook. "I didn't just lose my home. I lost my place in the world." Logan looked at her, not with pity, but with something stronger. "You didn't lose your worth," he said firmly. "They lost their heart." Zalari blinked. No one had ever said that to her. No one had told her she deserved better. She looked down, silent. Her fingers gripped the coat tighter. "Do you think they'll come back to find me?" she asked softly. Logan shook his head. "Not because they care." She turned to him. "Then why would anyone care? Why would you?" Logan stared at her for a moment. Then he said, "Because I've seen real monsters. And they don't cry under the rain. They don't care who they leave behind. But you care. That's not weakness, Zalari. That's strength." His voice was steady, honest. Zalari felt something inside her shift. A door that had always been closed unlocked. She wanted to believe him. She needed to believe him. But just as she began to feel warmth in her chest, a sharp noise cracked through the air. Bzzzzzt. A blue flash exploded in the sky above. Zalari ducked. Logan stood up fast, pulling her behind the tent wall. "What was that?" she gasped. Logan checked the scanner on his belt. A red light blinked fast. "Tracking pulse," he muttered. "High frequency, military grade." Zalari's eyes went wide. "My father's soldiers. They're scanning the area." "For me?" "No," Logan said. "They don't care if you're alive. They just want proof you're not." Zalari's breath caught in her throat. "So they can return home and say the job is done," she whispered. Logan looked toward the desert. "We have to move, now." She grabbed his arm. "You don't have to do this. They'll hurt you." He looked into her eyes. "They'll have to try." Cliffhanger ending. He packed supplies fast. Zalari stood by the bike, trembling, not from fear, but from the feeling that someone at last was willing to stand with her. But just as they were about to leave, another sound echoed in the wind. A ship engine. Low. Getting closer. The sound was low at first, like a whisper carried by the wind. But Logan knew it wasn't the wind. He froze. one hand gripping the handlebar of his sandbike, the other pulling Zalari behind a rocky slope. "Stay down," he whispered. Zalari single quotes as heart raced. Her eyes searched the sky. Then she saw it, a dark silver ship, shaped like a knife, slicing through the clouds with quiet speed. Its lights glowed red, its engine silent but deadly. She recognized that design. "No," she whispered. "That's my family's crest on the wing." Logan looked at her. "They sent hunters. Not to rescue me," she said, her voice trembling. "To erase me, fully, if they find I survived. They'll call it unfinished work." Logan's eyes narrowed. "Then we make sure they don't find you." The ship landed not far from the camp, just over a sand ridge. Dust blew into the air. A few minutes passed in silence. Then came the sound of doors, hissing open. Heavy boots hit the ground. Zalari crouched lower, her hands shaking. "There will be 3 of them. My father's cleaners, cold, no feelings. They don't speak unless ordered." Logan didn't blink. "Then I don't have to be polite." He slid a blaster from his pack and handed a small knife to Zalari. She stared at it. "I don't know how to use this." "You'll learn," he said, just in case. They moved slowly through the rocks. Logan stayed in front, eyes sharp. Then voices. Mechanical, cold, she was here. Scanner shows footprints, recently disturbed sand. Orders? Kill, no remains. Zalari's stomach twisted. Logan turned his head toward her. "Stay hidden. I'll draw them away." "No," she grabbed his arm. "They'll shoot you." He gave her a small smile. "Then they better aim well." Before she could stop him, Logan moved around the rocks and walked straight into their path. 3 aliens in black armor turned to him. The leader raised a scanner. "Human detected. Not relevant." "I wouldn't say that," Logan said, stepping closer. The leader raised a hand. "Leave now. I found her. She's alive." They paused. "Give her to us," the leader said, voice flat. "She's nothing. She's a person. She's broken, unclaimed. Her family has no record of her anymore." "Then I guess I'll claim her," Logan said, voice calm but firm. "She's under my protection now." The soldiers didn't laugh. They didn't get angry. They just lifted their weapons. "Final warning." Logan stepped back. Just slightly, leading them away from Zalari's hiding spot. "I think you forgot something," he said. "What?" "She's not the one who's broken." He threw a smoke charge to the ground. Boom. Dust exploded everywhere. Blinding. Zalari heard the sound of blasts, bright flashes through the haze. Yelling, screaming, metal clashing against rock. Her heart pounded. She couldn't stay hidden. She ran toward the fight, through the smoke. She saw Logan, bleeding from the arm but still standing, using a broken pipe to block a strike from one of the soldiers. Another soldier aimed a blaster at his back. Nitrogen monoxide. Zalari screamed. Without thinking, she grabbed a stone and threw it hard, striking the soldier's head. He stumbled. It was enough. Logan turned and hit the soldier in the face with the pipe. The armored figure collapsed. The last soldier backed away. He looked at them both, Zalari panting, holding the knife with shaking hands, and pressed something on his wrist, a warning beep. "Another squad is coming," Logan said. Zalari looked at him. "We can't fight more." "No," he said. "But we can disappear." They rushed back to the sandbike. Logan grabbed what gear he could. Zalari helped tie down the supplies. She didn't care about her fear anymore. They rode fast into the night desert. Engines roaring, stars above them like cold eyes watching. They didn't stop until the ship. Lights were gone behind them, swallowed by the dark. They camped under a rock arch far away. Logan sat with a bandage on his arm, blood drying. Zalari cleaned his wound with shaking hands. "You're lucky I have bad aim," she whispered. He smiled. "Perfect aim. You saved me." She nodded, but her face was heavy. "They'll come again." He looked at her. Then we'll keep moving. Until they give up. She shook her head. They won't. They never do. Logan took her hand. Then we fight together. Zalari stared at their joined hands for the first time. Someone stood with her. Not behind. Not above. Not against. With. The desert was quiet again. Too quiet. Only the soft hum of the sandbike and the sound of Logan's breathing broke the silence. But something was wrong. Zalari sat behind him on the bike, arms wrapped tightly around his waist. She felt it. His body leaning more to one side, his grip on the handles weaker. His back felt wet. She pulled her hand away and saw blood. Logan? She whispered. No answer. The bike slowed down, wobbled, then stopped. Logan's body tilted forward, and he nearly fell off. Logan! Zalari shouted, jumping off and catching him. His eyes opened slightly. I'm okay. You're not okay, she cried. You're hurt. She helped him off the bike, dragging him under a rocky ledge for cover. Her hands trembled, but she didn't let go. She tore open his jacket. His left side was burned, red, and bleeding. A blaster hit. Direct. He took it for her. Why would you do this? She whispered, tears in her eyes. You could have run, left me. He gave a weak smile. Because you're worth saving. Zalari's heart cracked open. No one had ever said that to her. Not her parents. Not her people. She had spent her whole life trying to be enough. And here was a human bleeding for her, without asking for anything. Logan's eyes rolled back. No. She shouted, shaking him. Stay awake. She looked around. Just sand and rocks. No supplies. No help. Only her. She pulled out his bag, found the med kit. Her fingers moved fast, shaking but determined. She had never healed someone before. But she remembered stories from her grandmother. Old herbal cures, heat packs, pressure to stop. The blood. She pressed the cloth to his wound. He groaned. I know, she said. I'm sorry, but I can't let you die. The sun began to rise in the distance. A cold morning wind blew across the sand. Zalari stayed by his side, pressing the cloth, whispering words to keep him with her. Do you know what they used to call me? She said, voice soft. A ghost child, because I was too quiet. Too weak, like I didn't belong. She looked at him. But you didn't see a ghost. You saw me. You fought for me. So now. She tied the cloth tight around his waist and checked. His pulse, still strong. Now I fight for you. Hours passed. Logan didn't wake. His breathing was shallow but steady. Zalari didn't sleep. She stood guard. Every sound in the wind made her reach for the knife Logan gave her. She wasn't afraid for herself anymore. She was afraid of losing him. Later that day, footsteps approached. Zalari heard them, soft but steady. 3 of them. She peeked over. The rock. 3 strangers in brown cloaks were scanning the area. Not soldiers, not bounty hunters. But they looked dangerous. She crouched down and whispered to Logan, please stay hidden. I'll protect you now. She gripped the knife tightly. One of the cloaked figures got closer, almost on top of their hiding place. Zalari stood suddenly, knife in hand, eyes filled with fire. Leave us alone. She shouted. The strangers raised their hands. One of them stepped forward, pulling back her hood. She was alien, a different tribe, desert people. We're not enemies, she said calmly. We saw your smoke. We came to help. Zalari didn't lower the knife. Why would you help strangers? The woman looked at Logan lying behind her. Because only a fool would take a hit for someone else. And only a heartless person would leave him behind. Zalari's grip loosened. Another figure came forward with a water pack and healing herbs. We can help him, they said. Zalari stepped aside slowly, still watching them closely. As they worked on Logan, Zalari sat nearby, clutching the knife. Eyes tired but sharp. That night, under a blanket of stars, Logan opened his eyes. Zalari gasped. "You're awake." He smiled weakly. "Told you, I'm not leaving." She laughed through her tears. "You almost did, stupid human." He raised an eyebrow. "Did you just call me stupid?" She nodded. "Yes, but only because you nearly died saving me." He closed his eyes again with a smile. And for the first time, she smiled too, not out of pain, not out of fear, but out of something new. Hope. Zalari no longer saw herself as the same girl who had crawled through the desert, waiting to die. That girl had been thrown away, but this one had stood her ground with a blade in her hand. The old Zalari had begged for love. This one had dared the wild to keep someone else alive. And it all started the moment Logan opened his eyes and whispered, "I knew you'd protect me." The desert travelers, the quiet nomads in brown cloaks, had given them shelter in a cave carved by time and storms. Fire cracked softly in the middle, and strange herbs hung from the ceiling, filling the air with a calming scent. Zalari sat close to Logan as he rested on a blanket, his wound cleaned and wrapped. He slept peacefully. Now, breathing easy, the old healer, a wrinkled alien woman with bright orange eyes, stirred a pot of dark liquid and said to Zalari, "You have sand in your bones now." "What do you mean?" Zalari asked. The old woman smiled. "Only those with courage survive the desert, and you've not just survived. You chose to stand. That changes the heart." Zalari didn't answer, but the words stayed in her mind. She looked at her hands, no longer shaking, no longer weak. That night, Zalari stepped outside the cave. She looked up at the stars. There was no fear in her chest, only a question. Who am I now? The next morning, Logan was strong enough to sit up. "Where are we?" he asked, his voice soft. "Safe," Zalari replied. "For now." He reached out and touched her hand gently. "You stayed." She gave a tiny laugh. "Where else would I go?" He looked at her face and paused. "You look different." "Different how?" "Stronger, braver." Zalari smiled. "Maybe I finally see what you saw in me." But peace never lasted long in the desert. That afternoon, a sandhawk flew overhead, a metal one. A spy drone. The nomad saw it too. "They're tracking again." The healer said. Zalari turned to Logan. "You can't move fast yet, but I can." "What are you saying?" he asked. "I'll lead them away." "No," she looked him in the eye. "You came for me. You bled for me. Now it's my turn." Before he could argue, she was already packing. She didn't take much, only what she needed. Water, a blade, and the coat Logan gave her. The healer gave her one last thing, a sandglass beacon. "If you're in danger, crush this. It will call us." Zalari nodded and left before her fear could stop her. She rode a stolen sand glider across the dunes, fast and loud, letting the drone catch her trail. The wind hit her face, but she didn't flinch. She wasn't running away. She was drawing the danger toward herself so Logan and the others could escape. She had never done anything this bold before. And yet, it felt right. As if her soul had been asleep all her life. And now it was finally awake. Hours later, she stopped near a rocky plateau and lit a flare. A red light shot into the sky. A challenge, and it worked. A black ship landed on the cliff above. 3 armored hunters stepped out. Different ones. Bigger, meaner. One looked down at her and spoke through a speaker. "Zalari of House Arichin, you are a mistake. A stain. Why do you keep running?" She looked up at them, voice strong. "I'm not running. I'm choosing." The lead hunter laughed. "Choosing what?" She raised her blade. "To fight back." Cliffhanger ending. They began climbing down toward her. She crushed the sandglass beacon behind her back. Her hands didn't shake. Her feet didn't move. She waited for them, not to beg, not to hide, but to stand. And far away, in the cave, Logan's eyes opened wide. He sat up. "She's in danger." The healer nodded. but she is no longer the one who needs saving. The wind howled across the cliffs. 3 armored hunters stood over a broken edge of rock, but the girl they expected to beg for mercy stood tall. Zalari's coat blew behind her like a flag. Her face was dusty, lips cracked, but her eyes were sharp and full of fire. She wasn't scared. She wasn't waiting for rescue. She was the fight now. The lead hunter pointed a blaster at her chest. "You should have stayed buried in the desert," he said. She tilted her head. "I did. But I came back different." He fired. She jumped aside, fast, sharper than they thought she could be. The shot blasted the stone behind her. Sparks flew. She rolled behind a boulder, breathing hard. But she didn't run. She peeked out and threw a small flash bomb. One she took from Logan's old bag. Boom! Light and dust exploded in their faces. They yelled, confused. She rushed forward, blade in hand, and slashed one of them across the leg. He fell. Another charged at her, grabbed her arm, but she kneed him in the chest and slammed her elbow into his helmet. She wasn't stronger. She was smarter. Just as the last hunter aimed again, a sharp whistle echoed from above. Logan. He stood on the cliff with a blaster in one hand and fire in his eyes. "You really thought I'd let her do this alone?" He jumped down, landing hard beside her. His arm still injured, but his aim perfect. Together, they faced the last hunter. Logan nodded at Zalari. "Your fight." She stepped forward, blade raised, but instead of swinging, she stared into the hunters. "Visor, I'm not who you think I am anymore," she said. "I'm not a weak daughter. I'm not a mistake." The hunter said nothing. "I choose my own life now. You can go back and tell my family I survived. And I'm never returning." The hunter hesitated, then turned and walked away without a word. Later, under the fading sun, Zalari and Logan sat by the glider. She cleaned a cut on his cheek while he held a warm pack to his ribs. "You didn't have to come after me," she said softly. "I didn't," he replied. "I came with you." She looked at him. For the first time, she wasn't scared of the future. She wasn't lost. She wasn't someone's shame. She was someone's choice. And more importantly, she had chosen herself. Days passed. The desert behind them faded into memory. The nomads gave them supplies, maps, and blessings. Zalari stood at the edge of the desert one last time and whispered, "Thank you for changing me." Logan came beside her. "So what now?" She smiled. "Now I live, not in fear, not in silence. I choose my life." He offered his hand. "Alone?" he asked. She looked at it, then took it gently. "No," she said. "With you." Final scene. Months later, on a peaceful green planet far from war and fire, a small home stood near the trees. Inside, laughter echoed. A cooking pot bubbled. Tools and herbs hung on the wall. Zalari stepped outside, her long coat fluttering behind her. Her skin glowed under the soft sun. Her eyes were full of peace. Logan sat fixing a small drone near the porch. She walked over and kissed his cheek. "Dinner's ready." He smiled. "Smells like hope." She laughed. "No, just spice." They sat together, watching the sky. No hunters. No fear. No chains of family honor. Only freedom. Only future. She had been left for the vultures. But the human gave her wings.